Live. Action. Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Thursday, the 5th day of Elul, corresponding actually to the 5th day of September, the Lighthouse live video feed presentation dedicated לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל, אורה דבורה בת שמואל, לאה בת יוסף, and Esther רבקה בת אברהם. Additionally, the class is dedicated לרפואה שלמה מנחם מנדל בן שרה באשה and Hannah Bat Shani. The iTorah.com live audio recording sponsored for the Shidduchim of Nehama Dina Bat Hanabatia, Eliyahu Haim Ben Esther, Rachel Penina Bat Jenny, and Sarah Simcha Bat Sophie. The Edmund J. Safra Synagogue breakfast and class for our minyan has been graciously sponsored for the Refuah Shelema of Kalev Ben Fani, sponsored by his dear family. At this moment, he's going through a critical heart surgery. So we pray that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give him a refuah shelema among the holim of Am Israel. Amen. For me, the 5th day of Elul is a very memorable day because a few hours from now, I was walking to the chuppah to get married. So I got married between the 5th and the 6th. So, Be'ezat Hashem, should be Hashem give me the opportunity to be a good husband. Happy anniversary. I mean, yes. Happy anniversary to me and to my wife. Thank you. I better remember that, right? I can't afford to forget it. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiya Bidbaro. Anyways, today, Be'ezat Hashem, I'd like to continue with the second part of yesterday's lesson that we were discussing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is able to overlook our shortcomings, our sins, our transgressions, and Hashem's anger or disappointment towards the person is limited to a very small amount of time. And the concluding statement was that a person in life also is not healthy, is not beneficial to act in a vengeful way, to hold a grudge. And today's second part of yesterday's class is, where does this come from? I mean, if someone did something against us, okay, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, by the 4th time, we're going to say, you know what, forget about it. And yet Borei Olam says, no. Ma'avir Rishon, Rishon, like we just say in Selihot. Every time is like the first time. That's the difference between engagement and married. When you are married, people change. Correct? I think everybody agrees. Okay? When you are engaged, you act like a superman. You are like a super elegant, dandy, adame, respectful, open the door, flowers, calling 3 times a day, sending messages, etc. Right, Jacob? And then what happens after we get married? We used to do that, right?
Still do that.
Hazako Baruch, you're a holy man.
Rabbi, to get married, it's a task, but to stay married,
It's a bigger challenge. I think you heard the rabbi's class of 3 weeks ago. Beautiful. It takes more effort to stay married than to get married. True. So let's read now from a sefer known as Pardes Rimonim. Pardes Rimonim was also a sefer written by Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, also in the world of Kabbalah, and he explains, Yesh behechal, there is a special chamber in Shamayim that it has a group of malachim, a group of angels, and he explains that what they do, every act of hesed, every act of kindness that a person does, it gets registered into that account in Shamayim. Bekasher midat adin mekatreg al Israel. And when God forbid, there is a heavenly accusation against the Jewish people, Otam malachim, these very same angels, they send a message to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hold judgment, don't act, don't send the collection agency. let's work a settlement. And the settlement is the hasadim that we did. This reminds me of a story also related to this topic about Malachim. The Pardes Rimonim just said that there is one room in Shamayim that has the Malachim of Hesed. There is another room for Shamayim that handles the request for Parnasah. There is another room in Shamayim that handles the request of Refuah Shelema. There is another chamber in Shamayim that handles the request of Shidduchim. And every one of this room is unbelievably busy. You have papers flying, requests coming from all over the world. And at the end of the hallway is the room of gratitude. That is the malach that collects the gratitude that a person utters or says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the kindness that happens to us. And the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says, Mipene Sheu Hafez Hesed. It says, the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, that one of the concepts that activates Hashem's mercy is kindness. There is a Gemara in Masechet Sukkah that explains the concept of kindness versus charity. You have charity on one hand, and you have kindness on the other hand. The Gemara concludes, kindness is a higher mitzvah than charity. Although both of them are great mitzvot, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand what the Gemara says. Obviously, giving charity is a great concept. Charity protects, charity saves, charity reverses decree. But I think that the intention of the Talmud is telling us is that there are more opportunities of doing hesed than giving charity. What does this mean? You give charity. You give charity to a needy person. You give charity with money, usually. And you give charity to someone that is alive. That's usually how the world of charity works. Hesed, kindness, is different. You can do kindness without money. You can give someone an advice. You can mekarev someone. You can give someone a word of encouragement. You can introduce someone for another person to give him a job. Or you see somebody's spirits down, you lift the spirit. Now you did all hasadim only with your mouth, with your words. Then you have hesed with your body. You go visit somebody that is in the hospital, right? Bikur Halim. Or something as simple as giving someone a ride to their property, or to the airport, or to the bank, or to the grocery, to a doctor. That's another kind of hesed. Then you can give hesed not only to a person that is alive, you can do hesed to someone that is not alive. For example, you say Kaddish in memory of someone. You say Berachot le'ilui nishmat someone. Who is the person benefiting from our deeds? Someone that is not alive. So you understand what the Gemara says? The magnitude of hesed can supersede a concept of giving charity. And it says, Imhem gomlim hasadim hesed zelaze. If Am Israel, they are meticulous and careful in performing act of kindness between them, merahem alehem, Hashem displays a great attribute of mercy to Am Israel. So here in the footnote talks about that when it came to the time of the first Beit HaMikdash, the Jewish people qualified early enough for the Beit HaMikdash to be destroyed. But God delayed the execution of the destruction of the temple. Why? Short answer, it says, Bishvila Hesed. It says because of the kindness that the Jewish people do to one another. Continues Tomer Devorah, and it says that the power of kindness, the power of Hesed, is something that we get from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean? Who was the master of Hesed in Jewish history? Abraham Avinu. Abraham Isha Hesed. We don't say Moshe Isha Hesed. We say Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe, our teacher. But when it comes to Abraham, what do we say? Isha Hesed. Abraham Avinu, as we know, fulfilled the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim in an unbelievable way, without restrictions and without limitation. Not knowing how many people are coming, or how many people are staying, but the home was always open. And that DNA from Abraham Avinu, we receive it as Yehudim, generation after generation. And the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says, Bema she'Israel gomlim chesed. When Borei Olam sees that all over the world there is chesed being performed by Am Israel, to the Yehudim and not to the Yehudim as well, it says that that buys a certain level of spiritual protection, even when the attribute of judgment could have been activated against Am Israel. So if this is how Hashem holds off the... Hello? How Hashem... Yes. Yeah, but I think they gave me a used one. It's... Can you hear me now? Beautiful. Beautiful. My voice is a bit sore today, my throat, but okay. Let's continue. Nevertheless, it says, Im ken, if this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by seeing the great amount of kindness among us, כך ראוי האדם להתנהג. The person must reciprocate towards another. And what he's going to say now, it is not very easy to activate, but it's something that we need to know that it exists. It says that sometimes a person looks at another person, and for XYZ reason, the person says, I don't like that person, which we all know already, that is not an appropriate way of thinking from a Torah perspective, from a human perspective. But here it says, thank you so much, it says that a person should always try to look for the goodness that a person has. Because at the end of the day, I'm comfortable enough to say that every person has good things. Even though some people may have certain things which require improvement, but even a person of this magnitude also has good things to have. And that's why, if I'm allowed to add a Mishnah that says, Heve mekabel et kol adam, besever panim yafot, or besimcha, it says the Mishnah, et kol ha'adam, the Mishnah says, the entire person. Why doesn't the Mishnah say kol adam, every person? So one of the Imre Emet or Sefat Emet explains that the Mishnah is teaching us that when we look at someone, the Yetzer Hara is an expert in highlighting the deficiencies of that person. And then we concentrate more on the 3% negative, and we overlook the 97% goodness that a person has. And it says here that even when a person can get angry, make sure that your anger disappears by concentrating in the midat tovah, in the goodness that a person has. And who does it bring as an example? Kol shiken beishto. Especially when it comes to the relationship between husband and wife. Hesed. What's the meaning of Hesed? Hesed has a lot of meanings. Usually Hesed means kindness, compassion, that's Rahamim. benevolence maybe, but in the Zohar explains that the relationship between husband and wife, besides the emotional and the physical, but there is a spiritual connection between the husband and the wife. That's why the Gemara says, what happens to a man that is not married? What does that mean, what happened? Hazaku Baruch. The Gemara writes that a single person is not considered a complete creation. Besides that, marriage, it gives the, relax, not to worry, not to worry. Okay, he's still young. Anyways, he's available though, I believe, right? Beautiful. The father says yes. I may have somebody already. Beautiful. Okay, we'll talk about it. Beli neder. Anyways, the Zohar explains the husband is the mashpia. The mashpia means the giver. The wife is the recipient, the one that she receives. Perhaps this may be a reason why the wife always asks things from the husband. Not that a husband doesn't ask things from the wife, but there is such a thing. And the Gemara explains in Masechet Yevamot, I believe. It says that the husband must love his wife like he loves himself, must honor his wife more than he honors himself, because she and the children are relying on the husband, and the husband relies on the one that created the world. This is what the Gemara says. מפני שהיא בהם תלויים בו, והוא תלוי במי שאמר, והיה העולם. This is what the Gemara writes. Not only that, it says sometimes, and as a rabbi, regretfully, sometimes I have to put out fires of Shalom Bayit. And many reasons can cause Shalom Bayit situations in someone's home. One of them could be criticism, criticizing a spouse. Either way, they're both unhealthy. But especially when the one being criticized is the wife. Could be even worse than men. One case. Another case, anger, kaas. I had a case of anger management a few days ago. If they control the anger, they can have a beautiful relationship. They both have it. And that's even worse. Because now you're fighting fire with fire. Ish, ish, as the Gemara writes, right? Ish, ish. When you combine two fires, what do you have? An explosion. So here he brings an interesting Gemara, and the ladies are going to love what I'm going to say now. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero indirectly says that to criticize a wife is unacceptable. Pashut. I know that men may not like to hear this, but the Metziut is, even if you read the books of Shalom Bayit, everyone agrees. You can do better by speaking positive and encouraging than by complaining or criticizing. I shared with you yesterday the story of the kid who got a very not good, grade, right? And we gave two options how to handle that situation. You can punish the kid, so to speak, or you can criticize. Punish is not the word. Remove the word. You can criticize, or you can lift his spirit. So the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero quotes a Gemara that says, what is the great zechut of the wife? So it says that apparently in the time of the Talmud, there was a wife, thank you, that was giving her husband, the rabbi, not me, that rabbi of the Talmud, a headache. Every day shall give him a different type of headache. And he went to speak to another rabbi. And he says, Rabbi, it says, you know what? I think, he says, that I'm going through hardship through my marriage, that, thank you so much, thank you, that perhaps my solution is the easy way out. So the great rabbi said, not at all. Not at all. The easy way out means get divorced. You understand? The rabbi said, what do you think you're doing when you get divorced? You're just putting a Band-Aid, but you're not fixing anything. Obviously, there are certain situations, regretfully, that divorce, it's required. And divorce may be the only way out. And the divorce may be, Haz v'shalom, the only solution. Because we are beyond trying and attempting to save the marriage. But one thing is for sure. In English, there is an expression that says, it takes two to tango. Don't ask me what that means, but it means that to dance tango, you need to have two bodies. Don't look for it. I'm telling you, I'm from Argentina, so I grew up with that as a child. Yes, the masters, okay? But let's go further. What does it mean? A marriage is not one way. It's two ways. You give and you receive. You provide and you receive. You love and you receive love. But regretfully, in many relationships, there are the following situations. A, only one spouse is willing to work. And really, there is no clear-cut answer if one spouse willing to work is the solution. Okay? Is the solution. No. That may be a Band-Aid. There is a comment that's coming from an unholy source. Erase it, please. Just slide it. We regretfully, or I should say on the opposite way, since we are learning a Torah class. So I'm going to do exactly what he says. I respectfully ask the viewers not to post sources which are not from the Torah. And I suggest to the viewers not even to put sources. You're watching to listen. We just saw a source that comes from an unholy source. So I apologize. I don't know who put it, but I just saw it from my corner of the eye. So I apologize if somebody is not happy with what I said. You can wave, you can say shalom, you can say Shabbat shalom, Shana Tova, you can write where you're from, but let's keep the sanctity of the Torah class undiluted and intact. Let's continue with the topic of marriage. So it says, what are you complaining about your wife? This is the rabbi talking to another rabbi. He says, what are you complaining about your wife? Look at the beautiful children she brought to you. Look how, because of her, and that's what the rabbi's heavy message says, because of her, you are acting in a proper moral fashion. Isn't that enough for you? Unbelievable statement. Somebody in the 21st century is going to say, but what happened to affection, to love, to affinity? The rabbi is trying to say that, let's say that God forbid, her attitude towards him is not the best. And we discussed this a while back. Like the husband takes care of the wife in many ways, the wife has the power to lift the husband in many ways as well. Spiritually is one of them. Emotionally, for sure. And continues, and it says, at the bottom, he says, so what was the end of the story? So it says here that when this young student listened to his rabbis saying that his wife needs to be placed on a pedestal, he changed his mind. He says suddenly was honeymoon period. How did he do it? It says number one, lo garesha. He erased from his mind not to divorce his wife. That's step number one. Number two, hetiv imma. Now he started to become nicer. Number three, the ladies is going to love this. Hevila matanot. Now he started to buy her gifts. Leahazik la tova. For the mere fact that she's married to him. Unbelievable. I better buy a gift today for my wife. No, the opposite. That the more you give, the more the love will be building inside of you. And she will reciprocate. Is a pasuk in the parasha. In the parasha of the giving donations to the Mishkan, the pasuk says, Venatenu. I'm going to write it because it's going to make sense once you see it in writing. Sorry, I dropped a marker next to me. I want you to look at the whiteboard. This word, venatenu. Look how they are written. Vav, nun, tav, nun, vav. You read it right to left, the way the usual reading of Hebrew is, tells me venatenu. Read it left to right, it gives me venatenu. Interesting. Left and right, right to left is the same reading. Same thing. This word means, and you shall give. And mehila, and they shall give. Venatenu. The root word is noten, to give. Benatenu means they shall give. We're coming now. Now, on top of this word, thank you, I drew two tunes of the Sefer Torah. One is called Azla Gerish. Beautiful. Gerish means divorce, by the way. Girushin. Azla Gerish. If you send out a spouse from your home, the next step, God forbid, could be a one-way ticket. God forbid. But interesting, Azla Gerish, the way it's in the Chumash, look the way it is. From right to left and left to right. You know what this means? When you give, you receive. You want to receive? Be a giver. Give. Give. Whatever giving means. Give attention, give affection, give charity. You want to make money in life? You want to be successful? Give. Give maaser, give charity, give compliments. You see how everything is going to come back to the person in a most magnificent way. Then he said, Hevila matanot. And the wife asked him, why did you buy me a gift? Are you okay? Is everything good? He answered her, Le'ahzik la tova, to express my gratitude for everything you do for the family. Guess what? even though שממילא הייתה עושה, even if you don't give it a gift, which wife will not take care of the children? Which wife will not want to be a shatra, a balebuste, to run the home? It comes. But nevertheless, he does this to reinforce that he is noticing it. Hakarat tov kipshuto. Rabbi Hiya, which was one of the greatest sages of the Talmud, says to his student, you must express your gratitude to your wife. Even though you may say, but Rabbi, I pay all the bills. That doesn't make you a good husband. That makes you a good provider. You're paying the bills. Hazaku Baruch. Everybody pays bills. If you're human, you have to pay bills. To live, it costs. So it says, you have to do it me'akarat hatov. Be grateful. Be thankful to your wife. Not only that, that is going to quote the Baal Shem Tov in a moment, but I'll tell you that we have this opportunity every day of our life, but especially Shabbat and Yom Tov. The table is set up, the meal is made, preparing, etc. And you say, thank you for a delicious meal. Thank you for a magnificent Saudot of Shabbat. And it says here that this is one of the mitzvot that really doesn't require kavanah. Usually, there is a concept that says, mitzvot serichot kavanah. Mitzvot require a certain level of concentration. And it says in the name of the Baal Shem Tov in the footnote, it says that even though that there is no kavanah when a person is giving the charity, but the mere fact that your action benefited a needy person, another Yehudi, another human being, that alone is the performance of the mitzvah. And it says the same thing when it comes to his wife. Even though that this wife of the Gemara, maybe she had a tough attitude, maybe, let's be honest here. We hope and pray that everyone has a great, happy, successful marriage. And maybe 20 years down the line, it became that way. But the adjustment period of the first year of marriage, how challenging it is. It's a whole adjustment. And the person sometimes has difficulty that now he has a structured way of life. When he was single, he came and left without having to ask permission or perhaps having to say. Now, the person is married, you have responsibility, you have to be a Ben Adam. And it says, Rabbi Hiya is telling this fellow, you know what your problem is? You are looking at your wife with an eye of criticism and complaint. And if you read the books of Shalom Bayit, they tell you, if you want to live a happy married life, stay away from these two words. And it says the opposite. Instead of concentrating perhaps on a dosage of an attitude, why don't you look at the great picture? Your children, your spiritual well-being, your beautiful Shabbats, your beautiful holidays. And guess what? This is discussed on the topic of marriage, but this is something that should be used in any area of life, every situation in life. Try this today in your office. Today, your exercise will be super nice. Not easy. Not easy. Because some people have impulse. Smile, yes. Come in. My office staff already knows. I announce my arrival when I go to the office. I don't call. I say good morning, so they're not afraid that I'm suddenly walking into the office. And when we leave, we say good night. See you tomorrow. Anything pending, anything you need. Small things. But guess what? It helps. It helps the environment. It helps the emotions of the person, of you as employer, and the employees as well. And it says, Hafez Hesed. Always look for the positive. And may not be easy, and may not be an overnight change. But Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and this marks the conclusion of yesterday's class, but let me scan quickly today's class. At least I can start with just the opening statement, so we are in the right track. We discussed so far a godly level of tolerance, forgiveness, kindness, and even anger on a godly fashion. Today's topic discusses about forgetting the past. Forgetting the past. The opening statement says, what happens if two people had an altercation or an argument, a fight, and now they decide to make shalom? After they made shalom, how is their relationship? The new, exactly. It's not as it was before. It's a bit colder. Respectful, but colder. It says here, En HaKadosh Baruch Hu ken. If a person made an avon, and a person does teshuvah, Borei Olam brings back the love, but not like the love before, but higher than before. Unbelievable. And he uses the very famous Gemara. The Gemara that says, Binkom sheba'alei teshuvah omdim, em tzadikim gemurim yecholim la'amod. He says, in a spiritual level of a person who did teshuvah, there is no room for tzaddikim in that level. Why? Because tzaddik means someone who did usually things good, proper, etc. And Baal Teshuvah means a person who sampled the other side of the coin, but understood that a Yehudi must live in a certain way, and the person made the transition from being not connected to now being connected. Do you think that to make that transition is so easy? It's easy for us because to many of us, this is the only way we know. We don't know different. We learn Shabbat, holiday, family, Hacham, synagogue, Israel, Mizvot, Bar Mitzvah, Milah, Mikveh. So we grew up with this. And this is how we were raised. And that's what we have. So it says, the Gemara explains in Masechet Menachot. Allow me to make the drawing. There are two letters. In the Hebrew alphabet. The He and the Het. The shape is very similar, with one small difference. that here there is an opening and here is no opening. But if I do this, suddenly I have another he, and if I do this, I converted from the he to the het. The Gemara explains that these two letters, the shape of the letters, it carries a very important heavenly message. Number one, this letter is called, how do you call this letter without the opening? Het. How did you say? Het. What's the meaning of the word het? Sin. So this letter goes down the drain. And this letter, the person may go down the drain spiritually, but God allows a U-turn. That's the difference between these two letters. That's why Hames is with a het and Matzah is with a he. If you write Hames in Hebrew and Matzah, you have the same letters. Mem, Sadik. What's the difference? Masa, Teshuvah, Yetzer Tov. The het, Hames, Yetzer Hara. You follow? So it says the Gemara, you know why this he has an opening? Because the he is the U-turn for Teshuvah. And here he quotes, unbelievable, yes. And here he quotes explaining the essence of the Yetzer Hara. That the Yetzer Hara always wants to bring the person down. But if the person puts his effort and prays for heavenly salvation, Borei Olam will bring him back. And that's what the Gemara writes, Havale taher mesayein lo. A person that wants to connect with God, a person who wants to do the right thing, Shamayim always helps the person. And he goes on to explaining the different concepts which I did through the drawing, and at the end of the day says as follows, that when a person does teshuvah, imagine yourself, and I have to bring an example of the world of finances, because I think that we are able to relate about this topic. And I did mention this earlier in the week, concerning the topic of a person having a good credit for financial matters, loan, lease, line of credit, etc. And we learn that having late payments is not beneficial to keep a good score, but timely payments, it helps that. We also learn that there are certain things that are not easy removable. For example, bankruptcy. For example, frequent late payments. So imagine yourself, suddenly you make a decision that from now on you will pay all your credit card bills on time. And after 4 months, the bank sends you an email of FICO or Experience, congratulations on your new credit score. In 3 months, you went from 475 to 750. I have to tell you, in real life, this does not happen. In real life, this does not happen. It takes much more than just 3 months of paying the bill. You earn brownie points. Maybe it goes up 10 points, 20 points, by the third month 50 points, and many other matters that can determine the credit high or not. But it says Borei Olam is different. We show goodwill, we show commitment to Hashem. Borei Olam says, you know what? I love you. I love you. I'm going to erase the late payments and let's start a new level of relationship. Not easy to bring this between humans, but this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu treats every person that wants to do right and does right on a regular basis. And he concludes and it says, Lo ye noter eva. It says, run away from harboring hatred against someone because of things that happened from the past. But the opposite, learn how to establish pleasant and healthy and proper relationships in life. And even if someone may not be the way they should be, but remember the gift of teshuvah. There is a gift called teshuvah. Bi'ikarebehu. It says, you want to save someone? Show him warmth. Show him respect. Give the person attention. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us closer to him, also we need to bring people closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And here he quotes an interesting Gemara. And with this we'll finish. What happens? Usually, what does the husband gives the wife for marriage? Ring or a coin, right? But what happens? The Gemara brings a case. Hariat mekudeshetli. He says to her, you are going to be my wife, al menat she'ani tzaddik, on the condition that I am a righteous person. Is this marriage considered a proper way of marrying someone or not? You say no. What do you say? No. What do you say? Most of us, in a rational way, we said, show me your actions. Maybe you're not. And interesting enough, the Gemara says, Mekudeshet misafek. Technically now, she's married to him. Why? Because maybe when he was saying that, he had a thought of teshuvah, and Borei Olam took the thought of teshuvah and calculated it like if this person, it's already doing well. It's like you want to give an incentive to your employees or to your children. And you tell them what? If you do this, I'll do X, Y, Z. But what do you do the next day? You're already giving him the gift. And maybe your employee says, but yesterday you said that if I do X, Y, Z, and you tell them, I believe in you. So why should I wait till that happens? I know you're going to do it. So I want to benefit you now. You understand? That's exactly what Borei Olam says. If this fellow had the thought of teshuvah, for me, your signature, your word means a lot. And time will do the rest. And that's why he concludes and it says, you want to help people? Keeping distance, it doesn't help. But bringing people closer to Hashem, to the Torah, to the synagogue, to the community, sooner or later, the neshama will be warm. And once the neshama is warm, guess what? The sky is the limit. Okay, my good friends? Have a great day, everybody. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל. לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה מזוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר. קדיש. אמן. אמן. امين يشم ربا مبارك لعالم للمعال ميايد برك ويشتبح ويتبقر. امين امين يهلنا. امين بريما يتسللانو. امين امين.